Live is the.
It should.
Mine's still staying the same color.
Yeah, it should refresh. It's doing something. And this is also, as we watch these back, I'm like,
there we go.
Oh, we've got like 2 minutes of us just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like, I'm trying to get better. Like, oh, straight into, hey, welcome everyone. But yeah, we are officially live now. So it is good to see some people on a Friday night. Friday night college football. We got all the things going on. So yeah, welcome everyone. Those watching and those who will watch the recorded version of this later on. Glad to be back. 19th day of the Advent calendar, and so it's a grind. It's a marathon, but I think everybody's livers will survive. At the end of the day, they'll make it through the whole calendar, and if not, that's okay. You've got good pours for all of January. But no, joined by Jesse Parker from Doc Swinson's out in Washington tonight. So Jesse, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Blake, thanks for having me on here. It's always good to do this, and always a scramble to get live working. I was just telling Blake I'm at a family event, so there's about 40 people outside the door right here, so I apologize if it gets a little noisy, but we're all drinking some whiskey cocktails and making dinner, so...
That's that's what the holiday season's for. I feel like we should also say, like, when we were building out this calendar, maybe we should have looked at the calendar actual dates a little more to be like, oh, that's a Friday. Maybe we won't want to be jumping out live, but I think it's fun. Actually, we had a free Friday night, so I abandoned some cookie making and came here to do this for a little bit. So it all works out in the end. But no, this is fun. Thanks for being a part of the calendar. Thanks for everything y'all do. You've had some of my favorite releases over the years. I think the Golden Hour, the one that Fred Minnick did, is still one of the best rides I've had. That was just fantastic. But yeah, no, would love to jump in. Like, I think y'all have a really cool backstory of how you got started, how everything transitioned to what it is today. So we'd love to jump into that a little bit and tell us a little bit about where you came from and how things got going on the Doc Swinson side.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Well, everybody's got a little different story, I feel like, but we definitely have a kind of a unique one. My background was in distillation, specifically fruit brandies and gin, actually. In my early 20s, the day I turned 21, I was actually in a distillery distilling something, which is kind of a wild story.
Most people's first drink or legal drink is probably not like White Dog coming off of the still, and but you know what? It's everybody's got that fun story.
Absolutely. I fell in love with the whole process. Actually, definitely as a teenager, just the theoretical process. We'll leave it at that. And
for legal purposes,
yes,
we will leave it at that. And,
no, my parents were really amazing, or are really amazing people, and kind of honed a lot of this in on me, and gave me a lot of educational basis to start from. And I ran with the distillation side. And I ended up running a distillery for a couple of years, right out of, actually I was still in university at the time. And then, I joined this group, Distillers Way, or what became Doc Swinson's as well, back in, gosh, it was like 2014 now. We built out our company actually to develop products for other people. That's really the basis here. And in doing this, I got to experience working with blenders and blending spirits for a number of different brands, a lot of them international, some national as well. And it really built up quite a background for my palate, as well as a lot of process methods that I fell in love with over the years, developing other products. And where Doc Swinson's really came from was my CFO, Chris Kearns, and head of sales, Steve Main. The three of us who really built the company around the daily operations said, well, we all love whiskey, so why don't we do this ourselves? And
why are we doing it for everyone else when we could?
Yeah, I mean, we still do that too. It's a fun challenge, but Doc Swinson's, I think, is just pure curiosity. That was the idea, is like, what if we took all these different techniques that are found around the world and adapt them in a way that works and complements American whiskey, so bourbon and rye, for example, right? So once again, I mean, most of you here probably already know this, but or have picked up a bottle of Doc's, is we're not a distillery, we're a blending house, of course, and luckily now that's a pretty popular term.
Yeah,
years ago,
2014. I mean, really until I'd say 2022-ish, people were still like, hold on, what do you mean you don't have a distillery? And
MGP, what?
Those were dirty words back then.
They were, and look where we are now. 10 years later, I mean, some of the best blends in the country are coming out of I mean, groups of different distilleries, but MGP is no longer quite what it used to be, and which is great. We're proud to use them. We've worked with them since day one. Anyways, the idea behind Doc Swinson's was just to see where curiosity would lead us. We had connections with barrels all over the world, so bringing them into our facility in the Pacific Northwest, the only place in the country that is almost identical to Speyside, Scotland. So it's kind of a natural way to say, okay, well, what do they do in Scotland really well? Well, maturation, right? Let's put our whiskey in different casks from around the world and bring in these characteristics without over finishing. And I think that is key to Doc Swinson's, is we don't want the whiskey to be completely taken over, right? We still want to taste bourbon or rye. That is essential. Otherwise, I say just, I don't know, go buy a bottle of port or sherry. That's which is great too.
It's great too. That's always my joke with some of these finishes. It's like, it's a finish, and it's basically flavored whiskey for people who are too ashamed to admit that they like flavored whiskey. It's like, if you just want it to taste exactly like that, like, just go get the flavored version. Like, you don't need a true well done finish. You can just, dump half a gallon of honey into a gallon of bourbon, and you've got a honey finish. It's
100%. But I think that through that process, it kind of set up a lot of guidelines for how I wanted to build Doc Swinson's, how we as a team wanted to build Doc Swinson's. And that was make sure the whiskey still shines. It's still the star of the dish here. And everything else is essentially like a seasoning, right? We're essentially chefs, right? We're picking high quality ingredients to assemble a dish that is better than the ingredients on their own. That's the whole idea. And I think that's been a really fun, it's been gosh, 8 years since we launched Doc Swinson's. And it looks like you've already cracked into that bottle there, Blake.
I did. I should not have, but
no, I'm waiting.
I was like, it's a Friday. I'm going to slowly not have too much. And then I was like, man, this smells really good. And I couldn't help myself. But had a good question in the comments. So with difference between blenders and independent bottlers, I kind of have my thoughts on this, but where do you see where y'all line up is, hey, it's interchangeable. I think of it as the same thing, or, blending would be an add-on to independent bottling, or what's your take on that?
I haven't really thought of that in depth, but I would say independent bottlers, I think, more or less highlight a specific distillery, right? And what they do really well, and then put that in the bottle. I think the goal as a blender is to take individual ingredients and create something new out of them. So something that is distinctively different or unique to your blending house name. And that's exactly what we do here. And I think that's something I know we're really prideful on here. For example, our bottled and bond rye is one of my favorites to talk about, because almost all of my blends incorporate more than one mash bill, right? Except for my bottled and bond. And I wanted to take the most industry standard rye mash bill, or one of the two, which is the 95.5 that we're all familiar with, and make it taste almost nothing like what you would assume it would. And that has been a successful story. And the whole point of that was to prove that I could take something that on paper looks identical to so many other versions of it out there and make it taste different. And I think that's really the goal of a blender, is what can you do with it? It's all about pulling on those different flavor notes, right? In accentuating, getting in a certain direction that you want it to show in the bottle or to the user.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to say it. So that can add on.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think that's it
too.
is. It's additional, and it's like I always use the analogy of like independent bottling. If it's just true, you're buying barrels, you're putting them in a bottle, and going from there. It's like the Hello Chef of the world. Like they send you the ingredients. Here's the instructions. You use your pan. Certainly, you're doing like there's there's something to that. There's nothing against it, but with being like a blending house, kind of how you explained it, it's like, nope, you're not growing the cow and raising the chickens on your own, but you are sourcing those different ingredients. You're putting your own, recipes together. And that's what I think I've loved about the releases y'all have done, because it is, like you said, it's like, hey, taking that some would call the most basic mash bill at 95.5. It's in a lot of places, but it tastes like no other 95.5 rye from Indiana that I've had, which I think is very cool to see. And somebody did ask, so what are we drinking tonight? I'll let you lead in on exactly what it is, because I know we had some fun with the TTB on all of our different labels of, it's like, oh, you can't use that name. You can't. I'm like, it's been approved. It's like, you have to just say specifically what it is. And
it's always a new experience, I think, submitting labels to the TTB. Sometimes it's just a shoe-in and it works, and other times it gets down to the strangest little piece. I already have proof this exists,
That's always the funny ones, is like, this has been approved before. Like, why are you rejecting this now? But I'm not calling anybody out, but we know it's been done. So
Yep, and you just got to prove it. And hey, you know what? They're really easy to work with once you do that. So but yeah, like what we're tasting tonight here is, of course, Golden Hour again. So those of you who've had the Seelbach single barrel, or the Club Marzipan Fred Minnick pick one as well, this is the blend that I created. That's not a single barrel, right? So this is approximately 14 casks in the overall blend, and it incorporates a really interesting set of casks here. So it's actually two different rye mash bills, both MGP. So it's the 95.5 and the 51 as well, that are blended together. And then that ends up in it's our Solera system, which is another product of ours called Solera. And it's a true Solera. It's made of about 54 barrels, 4 layers high. And are you familiar with what a Solera is?
Yeah. So, I don't want to ruin the surprise for those watching, but essentially you've got a different set of barrels, and it's essentially like a stair step. So you'll take a third of this one, put it in the next one, and so on, and you're pulling from that last barrel, correct?
Yep, 100%, okay. And that's all we pull from. So the bottom set is what we pull about 20% out of those set of casks, and that gets that's the oldest set of whiskeys together, right? And of course, you never empty these casks, and you replace it with 20% above from the upper tier, and then fall all the way to the top, where the youngest whiskey is going to go into it. This is a system that is really common in sherries, sometimes Madeira, definitely port, and as well as some South and Central American rums. It builds complexity and a lot of body to the products, which is what we really love out of it. And to complicate it even more, these were old rum casks.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how big are these casks? Because, if you're taking 20% of a bourbon barrel at, maybe there's, well, I guess if you fill it up, still it's only 53 gallons.
Yep.
And so those like 100-liter barrels, or?
These are actually standard. So the Solera system is actually made from standard size casks. We pull on them every 6 months. So 53 gallon standard bourbon barrels that then were used to age 4 different rums. So Jamaican, Venezuelan, St. Croix, and Trinidad. And then what I do is I'll build up a batch of that, and then I'll distribute it through other finishing casks from time to time as well. And that's where Golden Hour came from. So the whiskey that went into this particular Golden Hour is 7 to 11 years old in the blend, because of how the Solera system works naturally. And I split this off into predominantly tawny port casks, and these casks are actually quite large. These ones are about 500 liters. It's about 132 gallons, about 3 times the size of an average bourbon barrel. and they were used for around 35 to 40 years in Solera systems in Portugal. So these things are like sugar laden. When we get these casks and the temperature swings in our warehouse happen, I mean, there's sweet, delicious sugar syrup all over the floors. It's incredible.
Which I'm sure the smell is amazing. The cleanup afterwards, maybe not as much.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it does makes the whole building smell like.
But it is terrible. Yeah.
When it gets warm in there, like around spring or summer, the whole warehouse will smell like brown sugar oatmeal and or maple bars. It's absolutely wild.
Man, this is amazing just to walk in, and it's better than any candle you could find.
Oh yeah, by far. It's mind blowing actually. It's one of our favorite things to do at tours at the barrel house too. Is the blending lab. We always pop those casks open for people to stick their noses in, and we're like, oh gosh, this is his heaven.
That's fun. I don't think I realized this. So with the golden hour that we're drinking, so this will go through the Solera system and then go into the tawny port casks, and after that it's the finished product. I was thinking it was almost simultaneous and then you're blending back together, but this is a true
step by step.
And
we do both, to be honest. Depending on what product we produce, we do different types of aging. Sometimes it's simultaneous, and then oftentimes it's step by step, one cast to the next. It just depends on the product I'm working on.
And do you have like a set time of like, hey, 3 months and then we're going 20% down the line, or it's just like time of year, what the taste is?
Everything we do here at Doc Swinson is entirely by taste.
Yeah.
Cool. I could truly say that, and I love that fact about our brand. And I think that's really important. For example, I might not dump all the casks. At 3 months, maybe they're not all where I want them to be. Maybe only a part of one, or maybe like 2 or 3 casks are ready. So we'll pull those casks and then let the other ones continue to age and mature until we find a point where we think it will complement the overall blend. And if it doesn't complement it, it doesn't get blended into it. And then my job is to find a use for it later,
Yeah. No, and I mean, honestly, that it's why I love things like this, because it's like, how do you tell that story if somebody's walking through a liquor store and they see a bottle on the shelf and it's like, you would have no idea. We're talking 12 to 18 months based on taste, based on this and that. And it's like, it's really hard to convey that just on a shelf. And that's why it's always fun to bring the producers on to get those kind of behind the scenes look at what it looks like. Cause it's like, it's not just throw it in rum for a month, throw it in port for a month, and here we go. Like we're off and running. Like it's a much more complicated system.
Yeah, and it's a lot of attention to detail. It's checking on these casks, seeing where they, how they're developing, and then understanding what you can do with them later as a whole, right? And to complicate this product particularly even more is when I first was going to release it, I was going to release Golden Hour just as a tawny port finish. So the rye, rum, and tawny port. And then I was working on these blends, and somewhere around blend number 100, which is a ridiculous number. Usually my blends are somewhere in the like 20s to 30s before we're like, okay, we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
I hammered this one down for about 3 months. And I had some of the same rye that was finished in rum casks also sitting in ruby port and white port casks in the facility. So it's why I didn't necessarily list just tawny port on here. It's actually tawny, ruby, and white port. And it's 95% of this blend is made up of tawny port finish, 4% ruby port, and it gave us the aromatics I was looking for. And then the white port really is just to give us a little bit of acidity. It's just enough to kind of cut the heavy or the fat in the whiskey to brighten it up and allow you to want to drink it more and more and more. It's a tactile thing, on your palate.
Yeah.
It's like and that lime.
It's almost more of like a perception thing on the palate, where it like a little bit of that acidity breaks up some of those heavier notes. And that's really interesting.
This is just cooking.
I mean, well, and, at the end of the day, it's like flavor development is flavor development. Like it, You know, if you are a chef who knows how to build a really good sauce, you can probably build a blend based on the ingredients you have. And yeah, that's the fun of it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a challenge. It doesn't always make the books look happy, but the point being is it's really good whiskey, and that's what we care about. I always say I'm pretty sure my accountant's actually watching this as well, but you're the best, dude.
No, he's just counting up those 99 blends you rejected before you got to 100. Yep. And then
no, we're a small company. There's 10 of us in total. That includes our bottling crew. That's everybody. We do it all in-house from once the barrels hit about 5 to 7 years old in the Midwest. We bring them up to our facility just north of Seattle, south of Vancouver, BC, actually on the coast. Hence why we have that really great Scottish weather patterns going on. It's miserable, cold, and rainy. So it makes great whiskey, and it's certainly moody enough to drink more good whiskey.
Yeah. It's on a slow, rainy, colder day. Like, why wouldn't you want a great glass of whiskey? It's what else are you gonna do? Nobody wants to drink beer in that weather.
Not up here, not by Seattle.
Coffee. Coffee.
Definitely
is
coffee. Maybe that's the
only
next
acceptable alternative to whiskey up by Seattle. But that's really. And now, do you see because I gotta imagine. So we do some of our own blending in house and everything here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're humid but hot. And I would have to think y'all are humid but cold, so you probably see a drop in some proof along the way, but maybe not as much oak extraction.
Correct.
With some of the newer,
Yeah, in most cases. Well, so there's two things actually going on here. One of them is a little opposite than we originally thought. I would have thought we'd have a drop in proof as well, but because our warehouse is a giant, basically desiccant, the concrete floor, we actually have a lower humidity than you'd imagine, and it never gets like what the Midwest gets like, right? We always think it's very wet and rainy here, but it's not actually as humid as you might imagine.
Yeah.
So we actually do get a little bit of an increase of proof, but it's extremely small. It's usually about 1 to 1.3 proof a year at best case scenario. But with that being said, you're absolutely correct about the oak extraction. We get a lot less extraction, but we get more oxidation because we're allowed we could keep it in the cask longer. Without the excess tannin extraction, for example, which builds a lot of really great structure with the tannins that are available, for example. So we tend to have weightier style of finished product here under Doc Swinson's. It's got a little bit more F to it without it being more oak driven.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's kind of something I've been diving into a lot recently of like, you're only going to get so much oak at some point. Like there's just only so many lignins and tannins and whatever else it is in there. But after that, it's really about oxidation and how that affects things. And I know that has to do with the volume of air in the cask and everything else. So it is fun to see, and kind of a point we were talking about earlier of like, just not all MGP is the same. Where it's blended, where it's aged, all these different factors play a huge role in how that finished whiskey or final whiskey is bottled and what it tastes like. And that's that's the stuff where I'm like, we could go the next 12 hours I think. And I've already done it. I even joked about it in the pre-show a little bit of like, I get talking and then I start asking questions, and I love hearing all of the background of everything. And we don't talk about the notes and everything of what we're tasting. But so for those who are just joining, we are trying the Doc Swinson's Golden Hour. It is, as mentioned earlier, it is the rum finished, Solera rum finished, and then 3 different types of port. And I mean, for me, it's just, I don't know. On the nose is just incredible. It's like these huge. Oh, that was a solid bottle crack.
The reason why I'm like, we're only using natural cork. It just gives me the sexiest, one of the sexiest sounds ever. Is literally natural cork.
Sound.
Yep. And just as a heads up to those of you who aren't familiar with Doc Swinson's wax top, don't get mad at us because there's not a tear strip. There's not supposed to be one. We get this all the time. We worked with the company to develop wax. All you have to do is twist it like a screw off and it'll just pop right off.
You guys use Reed?
You know them, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more convenient than having to put tear strips on. They always fail anyways, or half the time they do.
Well, that's when we were getting video reviews of like the first 12 minutes where people just trying to get the wax undone. I'm like, okay, we got to figure something else out here, but they are incredible. It's like all the things you don't even think about as a consumer, and then you get into this side and you're like, oh my gosh, like there's different types of wax and some are terrible, like terrible TEAR, not like TERRIB or IBL. Yeah, I guess spelling it, so people don't think I've really been into the whiskey so far.
That's okay. We're not on a spelling bee podcast, so we're solid.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like the nose on this one, like that port comes through, like just bright fruit at times, like, but also super dried, subtle fruit notes, and then just all the great sugar from the rum. The spice comes through with the rye, like beautiful nose.
Thank you. I think this one's like a proper journey. It was also quite a challenge because usually before I made this one, most of my finishes were all in that like 105 to 115 zone. Proof wise, right? And I really wanted to start making some whiskeys that were maybe a little more approachable for a broader market. So focus a little bit more on some of the sweeter notes, for example. Create something that's a bit of a journey that has nice viscosity still at that lower proof point. This is 98 proof. Still pretty hefty, but mid 90s is a really gorgeous spot up into that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like about it is we. A lot of times on Seelbach, people chasing proof. They want hazmat. They want this or that. But then if you drink older bourbons and dusty bourbons, it's like you get some of these 86 proofers that drink so rich and like so viscous. And this has like that viscosity. There's still body. There's sweetness. And, 98 proof is nothing to blink at, but it's not 120 to get to all those notes, which I really like about it.
This has been such a approachable whiskey, I think, for a broad range of people, which is one thing I really was trying to shoot for, and I think we did a good job at it. For those of you just getting into whiskey, you can do it. Those of you who are really into those dusty old bottles, like you said, you're gonna like it. I think that's a hard thing to hit multiple targets like that. I mean, you taste whiskeys all the time, Blake. I mean, that's not always very achievable.
No.
And I think this one did a really good job at it. Which, we're proud of it. We like Golden Hour. It's become one of our best sellers, in all honesty.
I can see why. And that's where I feel like this is a whiskey I now want to put in a blind tasting, because I always love this in blind tastings when people are like, oh, I love heat and spice and oak. And I'm like, you love saying that you like those things. At the end of the day, you want something that's delicious, maybe a little sweeter forward. And I feel like that would crush a lot of bottles in a blind tasting just because it hits all those fun things. I will say for anyone who's followed Doc Swinson's on Seelbach in the past, the French toasted that y'all did, and I'm trying to pull up some notes on it. I can't find it, so I may let you intro it if you do remember, but that was one bottle. And then what was the tequila finished?
Tres Amigos. Was it the rye or the bourbon? I did two at one time. I mostly do rye.
It was the bourbon, I believe.
Oh, nice. Dos Padres,
Yeah, it was the Dos Padres. Those two bottles, I mean, and it's bet. So like our warehouse is in DC. I'm in Jacksonville. And I'll make excuses to the warehouse at times and be like, hey, I'm having a tasting. Will you send a few bottles down? And that one, they're like, how many tastings are you doing on these bottles? And I'm like, don't ask. Just
don't worry about it. This is
send me the bottles and don't ask questions.
This is research and sales.
Yeah.
It's a write-off.
Do you want us to have customers? And they're like, no, you're just drinking these. I'm like, yeah, but they're really good.
That's matters. Hey, it's your passion that other people will see, and that's how
Yeah,
people
exactly.
get into it. I think that's what's
I
beautiful about
posted
this
it on
space.
Instagram or something, and
Yeah,
that's why it's a write-off. That's
exactly. You've done work.
Mhm.
Well, that being said, yeah, that French toasted and Tres Amigos. I want to release those again next year because it's been a little
Huh?
while since I've done it.
Mhm.
In fact, I tasted this French toasted cast yesterday. My
Oh,
next round.
it's almost like
Um,
we planned this. It's
Almost, yeah. Yeah, the French toasted is a bourbon, usually bottled around 110 proof. It was a San Francisco Spirit Award Platinum winner, actually, which is kind of cool. As well as Best Finished Whiskey in 2023, if I remember correctly. It just works. Those are also large format. That's something I usually talk about at some point in time is we tend to use a lot of large format casks here. So our French oak casks are all 600 liter. Their punch-ons are quite large.
Oh, cool.
Once again, less impact of these are virgin oak, right? So less
Mhm.
impact of the cask initially. So it's not just really intense, young wood profile. It allows those richer, more minerally or earthy and cocoa and creme brulee profiles really to dig in there while still having that nice little puckery note in the background from the tannins.
And that's just a surface area thing. Hey, there's more whiskey in this large barrel, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of our finished casks are quite large. They're very large. They're not easy to
Reason
ship
for a big
across the-
warehouse, it's like, hey, these aren't getting moved by like one guy rolling them around on the floor.
These are, yeah, we pull up the forklift for these ones, or we stack them
Yeah.
into traditional ricks, like so all on top of each other, right? And we just
Oh,
don't
that's
move
cool.
them again. So when we process these barrels, we use a pump to pull out of the cask, not use a traditional dump trough.
Oh, really? You're not going
big.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
They're
cool.
a
I
little
don't think
fragile.
I've ever-
Most of these are old, with the exception of the French ones. The French ones and our Gary oak, our Garyana oak, which is our local oak species up here in the Northwest. That one's also quite large, and those are virgin casks usually as well. So.
Well, that was going to be my next question about the Garyana, because I feel like that is a very Pacific Northwest thing. Yeah. Some others have used it, but I'm pretty sure y'all were the first place I tried a Garyana finished. I believe Westland has done one since then,
really
and
piloted it, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Westland
Okay.
single
Well,
malt.
maybe I
Yeah.
just tried y'all's first. Maybe it was first American
Well,
whiskey.
there we go. Yeah,
it's American whiskey, but they're their own class now. So bourbon, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I think
that's
we're the first people to do it
cool.
with bourbon. I don't think we're the only ones now, but definitely one of the first.
Nobody's fact checking us. You can just say yes, we are the one and only, and we.
It's funny, the island that I'm currently on, actually, one of the local towns on the other side of where I'm from is actually called Oak Harbor, and it is literally named after the Gary oak tree. And they have them planted everywhere, and they've got these little signs next to them, like don't climb on me. I'm rare. It's really quite adorable. It's just, I mean,
don't climb on me. I'm gonna finish bourbon one day.
Yeah, and, that's exactly like, look what I did, Dad. Yeah, it's a special American white oak. It's just another American white oak called Quercus Garyana. If you're from Oregon on this, I know you call it Oregon oak. I get it. It's totally understandable. Being an American white oak, they're quite interesting because they're a protected species, so the trees have to be dead already and then harvested. So they're quite expensive, and not a lot of them made every year. They're fickle to work with. I don't know anybody that's used them as a primary aging vessel, except for one who admitted to never bottling it. It's too much. It's like Mizunara is like this too. Mizunara is a beautiful finish, but as a primary cast, less commonly used. Nobody's
going 6 years in Mizunara, and
you'll have nothing left. Gary's kind of similar. It's difficult to process and work with because of the pore structure and the tyloses in the oak. But it really lends a richer, more like heavy, darker fruits, and instead of like cinnamon, it's more clove profile, for example. Some people like to describe it as like nice Kansas City barbecue. It's got a nice smoke hint to it too, which is nice because of the way they char or the way they toast the barrels. I'll release that one again, I think, next fall. A lot of these are exploratory casters. When I have time and access to really great barrels and the whiskeys I want to work with. So,
well, I feel like that's the hard part. It's like you want to try things, you want to see what works, what doesn't work, and give people a shot at it. It's like, hey, do you like this? Do you not like it? And we think it's great, but you never know how the market's going to react at times. And I feel like that's what's super fun with what y'all do is it's always something, it tastes familiar, but on paper, it may look different than what you're used to. And that's what I love about it. Well, cool. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time on a Friday night. So this has been a lot of fun. Obviously, thank you for being a part of the Advent calendar. Thank you for everything y'all do. We're super excited for what's coming in 2026 and looking forward to a great year with more Doc Swinsons in it. So should be great.
Equally, Blake, we're looking to the next year with Seelbach. We're stoked. We love working with you guys, and I'm excited. I don't know. We got a lot of cool things up my sleeves coming out. So,
well, I mean, we got a few more minutes. Just tell no.
Oh my gosh, it'll just keep going. Like I already know that you and I, if we don't, we'll just keep going and we'll dive into the really nerdy side, which we should do one of these days. We don't have
100%. I'd love to make a trip out there. That would be a lot of fun because I love this side of things. And if I go too late, eventually my kids will just show up at the office and be like, aren't you coming home? Like I'm working. No.
Well, come in August. Otherwise it's raining the rest of the year. So come in August.
You've got 3 weeks, Blake. Yeah. Here's your time where you can come out and get good weather. So
notoriously, it's July 5th and on. So after the 4th, we're good.
Perfect. All right. I'm taking a note of that. So that'd be a lot of fun. I haven't been out to Washington. So the only trip we had out there, I bailed on because they were like, I was going with the Bourbon Pursuit guys. They're like, okay, we're going to fly out from Kentucky out to Washington. We're going to be there for 24 hours. Then we're going to take the red eye back to Memphis. And then we're going to do this thing in Memphis. I'm like, this sounds terrible. I'm out. Like
no.
You lost me at red eye. And
no, I hear you. Well, flying across the country is not always the easiest. Believe me, I love making it out to market, but a lot of things things are not direct to Seattle. I've learned less than I would have imagined. So
3 connections later, you're like, was this worth it? Was this?
I look like the crypt keeper by the time I get off the plane, and everybody's
like, man, that guy, he didn't say a whole lot. Like, yes, I thought I was going to die from jet lag or just sleep deprivation. So,
well,
cool, Jesse. Appreciate it again, and have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
Hey, you too now. Take care.
See ya.
Enjoy that golden hour, guys.